stopped shoveling and looked at the other wolf. Let him see just what he was messing with. The man lost his grin, paled, and dropped his eyes instantly, his heartbeat making the big blood vessel in his neck throb with sudden fear. Charles felt petty, and he resented it, resented his pettiness and the roiling anger that caused it. Inside him, Brother Wolf smelled Robert's weakness and liked it. The stress of defying the Marok, his alpha, had left Brother Wolf wanting blood. Robert's would do. Charles didn't say anything. Let the fool work for it. He lowered his eyelids and watched the man squirm some more. The scent of his fear pleased Brother Wolf and made Charles feel a little sick at the same time. Usually he and Brother Wolf were in better harmony. Or maybe the real problem was that he wanted to kill someone too. "The Marok wants to see you." Charles waited a full minute, knowing how long that time would seem to his father's message boy. "That's it?" "Yes, sir." That "sir" was a far cry from "hey, chief." "Tell him I'll come after my walk is cleared." And he went back to work. After a few scrapes of his shovel, he heard the SUV turn around in the narrow road. The vehicle spun out, then grabbed traction and headed back to the Maroks, fishtailing with Robert's urgent desire to get away. Brother Wolf was smugly satisfied. Charles tried not to be. Charles knew he shouldn't bait his father by defying his orders, especially not in front of a wolf who needed guidance, as Robert did. But Charles needed the time. He had to be in better control of himself before he faced the Marok again. He needed real control that would allow him to lay out his argument logically and explain why the Marok was wrong-headed, instead of simply bashing heads with him, the way they had the last 4 times Charles had spoken to him. Not for the first time he wished for a more facile tongue. His brother could sometimes change the Marok's mind, but he never had. This time, Charles knew his father was wrong. And now he'd worked himself up into a fine mood. He focused on the snow and took a deep breath of cold air. And something heavy landed on his shoulders, dropping him face down in the snow. Sharp teeth and a warm mouth touched his neck, and were gone as quickly as the weight that had dropped him. Without moving, he opened his eyes to slits, and from the corner of his eye, he glanced at the sky-eyed black wolf facing him warily, with a tail that waved tentatively and paws that danced in the snow, claws extending and retracting like a cat's with nervous excitement. And it was as though something clicked inside Brother Wolf, turning off the fierce anger that had been churning in Charles's gut for the past couple of weeks. The relief of that was enough to drop his head back into the snow. Only with her, only ever with her, did Brother Wolf settle down wholly. And a few weeks were not enough time to get used to the miracle of it, or to keep him from being too stupid to ask for her help. Which was why she'd planned this ambush, of course. When he was up to it, he'd explained to her how dangerous it was for her to attack him without warning. Though Brother Wolf had apparently known exactly who it was who'd attacked, he'd let them be taken down in the snow. The cold felt good against his face. The frozen stuff squeaked under her paws, and she made an anxious sound, proof that she hadn't noticed when he'd looked at her. Her nose was cold as it touched his ear, and he steeled himself not to react. Playing dead with his face buried in the snow, his smile was free to grow. The cold nose retreated, and he waited for it to come back within reach, his body limp and lifeless. She pawed at him, and he let his body rock, but when she nipped his backside, he couldn't help but jerk away with a sharp sound. Faking dead was useless after that, so he rolled over and rose to a crouch. She got out of reach quickly and turned back to look at him. He knew that she couldn't read anything in his face. He knew it. He had too much practice controlling all of his expressions. But she saw something that had her dropping her front half down to a crouch and loosening her lower jaw in a wolfish grin, a universal invitation to play. He rolled forward